we like to deliver. Here we go. That's the magic noise I was waiting for. Recording in progress. Well, everybody, it's my happy responsibility here to welcome you all to our latest and greatest webinar presentation in our wonderful series of Life No Longer Under Lockdown. This one is Keep Ukraine Connected, and we're all really excited to have somebody speaking to us tonight on the topic. So let's just quickly jump into the housekeeping so we can get to the really interesting part of the evening, or the afternoon, or the morning indeed, as it might be for others. So, bit of housekeeping just quickly. This event is being recorded and broadcast live via Facebook. So hopefully you're all happy for that to happen, and hopefully your questions will be relayed nicely for you as that happens. A feedback survey will be sent out tonight so that you can let us know what your thinking is around feedback. Are there any improvements you'd like to see us make? Are there any topics you'd really like to hear about? Perhaps maybe you're one of our member organisations and you've done some really interesting work on your network, or you've done some other fascinating things with the internet that you think others would like to hear about. Please, we're always keen to hear about some great technical hacks or cracks or interesting things that you've seen in the technology used on the internet. So even demos and presentations about your work we're keen to have, or even the good old peering socials. Here's my network, there's your network. Why don't we join the two together across your fantastic nearest and dearest internet exchange point? So yeah, throughout this evening, please post any questions that you've got to the Q&A or the chat that is part of the Zoom function. But if you are on Facebook, if you pop it into our Facebook chat there, we'll try and pick up those questions and pass them through as well. A couple other things. Yes, indeed, let us know all these wonderful things. Of course, the fine print about our sessions is that our board has adopted a code of conduct for our events. And in summary, that basically means please be nice to each other, be respectful, be accepting, and support others to participate in this. We want to exchange information and we want to support each other to build better and stronger internets worldwide. And people that can't play nicely, we will kick you out. You can appeal later if you think that was a bad judgment on our call, but we're going to make that decision on the night if we need to. Okay, so we've got a few other events coming up over the end of this year. Our end of year events. Perth, they're having a wonderful river cruise, which will be great. In Sydney, we're also heading down to a waterside function area. And Adelaide, there will be Adelaide, Melbourne and Brisbane have got restaurant type sessions. So that will be great. So please register yourself via our member portal, or if you're a special person that we really like, please ping me for an invitation and we'll see what we can do to fit you in. Places are certainly running out in some locations, so please get in fast. Yeah, don't forget our end of year events. We really do appreciate people who care about the internet and want to make it better and stronger and work better for everybody. Okay, so I've got the wonderful job here now to introduce René Fichtmüller to you. Now, for those of you, I know that this is actually a broader audience than what we usually get, because I know there's a few people who are interested in what's going on in Ukraine. Interested, yes, caring about what's going on in Ukraine. Now, I do need to explain to those of you who are not network nerds what a NOG is. The network operators groups are basically loose affiliations of technical folks, largely technical folks, and a few business and managerial folks who actually run internet networks. And we tend to get together in places to discuss how the networks work and build new networks and make them all stronger and better, pretty much like what the Internet Association is, the Internet Association of Australia is. But there is also a thing called a Global NOG Alliance, where different NOGs from around the world, because pretty much every different economy has their own little NOG. There's the North American Network Operators Group, there are European Network Operators Groups, there's Asia Pac ones, NZ NOG, all sorts of fun ones from around the world. René is a representative, or he's actually chairman of the board of the Global NOG Alliance. So he's been in the internet industry since 2015. Usually I actually buy optics from him, but that's another thing. He's an aspirant optician at Flex Optics. And yeah, he's been in the internet industry since 2015 and has an internet exchange point background. That's what we do. That's what he's done too. And when he's not representing Flex Optics around the world, he spends his time helping network operators get the most value from their regional groups. And in 2022, he volunteered to drive a truckload of humanitarian supplies to Ukraine, which inspired him to create the Keep Ukraine Connected Task Force, along with his teammates in the Global NOG Alliance, which to date has collected and delivered more than $1 million worth of network equipment and also raised funds for the necessary tools to keep the Ukrainian internet running. So I'm going to hand over now to René, and hopefully he will kick off his prezzo. Over to you, René. You can share away.
So, good morning. Thanks for a great intro. It's a pleasure. Short things to my person. I'm chairman also from the Global NOG Alliance. I'm working also for Flex Optics. We're handling some magic transceiver stuff, and with the Global NOG Alliance, we are supporting network operator group meetings when someone has an idea to organize a network operator group meeting, so we can provide all the necessary software, and we can be a mentor to share our experience how a NOC can be organized in CEDAR. And at some point, everything changed. I'm based in Germany, so in Berlin, outside of Berlin, and Ukraine is nearly 900 kilometers away from my door. And I was really shocked when the war started in Ukraine. It was like a crazy thing. And for me, I'm living this community, so I'm part of this community with my main job at Flex Optics. We are supporting a lot of communities, a lot of NOC network operator group meetings. We are supporting with sponsoring and also be part and help to improve the knowledge. And we're doing workshops with transceiver basics and all kind of stuff. And over the years, I find I've worked on I have an own mindset since years. It's like when you're living and when you're part of this international community, you're thinking in two different families. You have one family, this is my wife, my daughter, my parents, my brother, etc. And you have a second family, this is the travel family. Everyone you're seeing doing your traveling is part of my second family. I'm talking to each other like it's part of my first family. And yeah, I can say I love other people's out of my second family. It's a little bit weird, it's a little bit crazy. And I don't think in races, I don't think in colors or whatever. And I have an open mindset, and the only thing what I want to do is I want to support people. I started also to be a mentor for a couple of new starters in our community. And then we had the one day, we had 24th of February. It was like a shock for me. We have this war since 2014 in the eastern part of Ukraine. But it was not so aware in our news, and it wasn't so a big point for everyone like it is now. And 24th of February, I was preparing my daughter in the morning for the kindergarten. And for me, I'm not a young, I'm 43, but I'm young in the experience with kids and babies and all kind of stuff. So for me, it was like crazy to say, I need to apologize to my daughter to say, babe, that's hard, but this needs to be part of your life. And at some point, we are talking also about my experience and all kind of stuff. And this is like really, really hard. Also, when you have a lot of friends in Russia, when you have a lot of friends in Belarus, when you have a lot of friends in Ukraine, we had also a NOC meeting in this region. So we had the ENOC, it's organized by the RIPE NCC. It's RR in Europe and based in Amsterdam. and this is a East Eurasian Network Operator Group meeting. And I was a couple of times the last year in Moscow. I was a couple of times in Kiev and all this kind of stuff. So that's the reason why I really was shocked. I was really shocked at this day when the Russian armed forces invaded Ukraine. Then I'm not a talker. I'm a hands up guy and saying we need to do something. And at some point, a friend, you can see this guy without hairs. This is he's a really good Facebook friend and also a DJ colleague from Germany, from Berlin, Patrick. And he posted at Facebook, and that's also the reason why internet is such important. It's crazy, and also during our project, everything is based on internet communication. We skipped all video calls. We had 2 video calls to form this whole project, Keep Ukraine Connected. And all other communication was Trema, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, etc. And no video calls. I'm so happy to have this experience and have the possibility to communicate via the internet. It's crazy. So, and Patrick posted at Facebook, hey, I got a truck from a friend. This is Falco Bemmel. He is running a rental company for event equipment, etc. And he has also a lot of a couple of trucks, like 7.5 tons truck and 40 tons truck. And Patrick mentioned, I have a truck, I have stuff, humanitarian goods. Who wants to join? And then I said, hey, dude, I'm free, so I don't travel right now. It's my no travel period. I can join anyone. Oh, yes, no problem. So then I talked also to Falco, to the owner of this Bamber events company. One question, do you have an additional truck? Oh, yes, René, no problem. So, and then we got a second truck. It's the 7.5 ton truck. And then we loaded everything in. And we was driving, and I mentioned this also. I need to change this map. This is my German teaching language thing right now. So we was driving from Berlin in Deutschland, Germany, to Lemberg in Ukraine, through Poland, and it's a ride of 960 kilometers to Lviv, to Lemberg, and we had a lot of crazy experience on it. And I'm traveling 1-2 days a year, or it's possible also 3 or 4. And I'm a frequent traveler. And as a frequent traveler, you have every time your passport with you. So, and Patrick is not so experienced with traveling, and he was driving only via his personal ID. But the problem is we are leaving Europe, and when you're leaving Europe, you need to have a passport. And so that's the reason why we stuck at the between borders, in the middle of no man's land. We call it no man's land. It's 500 meters or 1 kilometer between border and border. It's normally a no man's land, and we stuck in a no man's land. And it was crazy for me. It was a hard experience. So I was thinking I'm experienced enough, and yeah. But this is, you can see, this is on this picture you can see women's, moms, kids, grannies. They're leaving Ukraine. There was coming buses every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, buses out of Ukraine to the border to Kochova, to the Poland area. And everyone was running out of Ukraine and was trying to find a silent space, friendly, and without war. And the hardest thing for me was, like, exactly, and I was new. So my daughter was born on the 6th of October in 2020. So my daughter is 2 years old. And when you have a 2 years old daughter and you're 43, like me, you're sitting in a truck and you're thinking and you see and you know exactly this lady is don't know when they're coming back. They're seeing his husband again, or they're seeing the daddy again. The reason is they have a rule of war in Ukraine. It means like everyone who is between 16 and I think 50 or 55, 60 needs to serve for the armed forces when the need is there. So means it is possible your husband or also your daddy needs to go to the front line to fight against the invaders and aggressors. And this is a kind of, yes, I was crying for around a half hour for me to say this is really hard. I've seen a lot of things. I served also a couple of years in the armed forces. So for me, it was like a hard experience, a really hard experience. And this was nearly 2 weeks after. It was the second week of March or 3 weeks. And this was when we had the first ride with humanitarian goods. And then it was also weird. It was like, this is how you share your content and load of a truck. You're driving back to back, then you deload, and it was deloaded in, I think, 1.5 hours or whatever. And we loaded the trucks for hours, for 4 or 5 hours. And deload was like a quick thing. But I'm really happy. It was a huge help. It was like nearly 18 tons of humanitarian goods we delivered to the war zone and handle it over. And after I came back and was sitting at home on a couch and had a chat with my wife, and I cuddled my daughter. It was like time to share and talk about my experience from the whole trip. Means what is my experience, how it looks like there, what I've seen, how was the experience with the border crossing issue. And I had a call with my board colleagues of the Global NOG Alliance, and everyone was agreeing we need to do something. And each of us, Nichelle is based in South Africa in Johannesburg. Florence is also working for Google. She is based in Netherlands. Sander is based in Netherlands. Me based in Germany. Jan Schorsch is based in Laibach, Slovenia. And every one of us is working like minimum 10 years in this industry, and everyone is a genius in his own part, like IPv6 and training and all this kind of stuff. And we have a lot of contacts, and we don't want it to handle any money or whatever. The only thing what we had in our mind is to say, we need to help. Don't talk. Don't write anything. It's really hard to see what happens in Ukraine. I don't want to see it. I want to make things happen. And that's the reason we founded Keep Ukraine Connected in one call. And then we use the social medias to say, hey guys, we have founded Keep Ukraine Connected. We need to support the local ISPs and IXPs and our friends from the community in Ukraine. And please, when you have any equipment, you can donate, like Wi-Fi access points, like switches, routers, and all this kind of stuff. Send it to us. And 1 or 2 board members, colleagues, I don't want to name it, said, hey, yeah, you guys, you can ship it to René. It's easier. He is doing the next trip, so he can store it on a backyard or in a garden or whatever. So yeah, I will see a picture later when I was shipping some stuff from my house to neighbors to store it there. So the reason was I was leaving after we decided to found and start this project. It was like a couple of days later, I was leaving to the southern part of Germany for a fair, for a big conference, and I was away for 1 week. And when after 2 days I was left my home, my wife was sending me pictures via WhatsApp, and she was not really happy. It was like spring, and she wants to go to the garden, and it wasn't possible to go to the garden. The reason was the garden in the backyard was nearly full with pallets of equipment, switches and routers. So Yeah, when I came back here, I needed to talk to my neighbors and saying, "Oh, you need to park your car on the street, so I need your carport and your garage to store something for a couple of days or weeks." So, what was our motivation? So everyone is doing a own job in an infrastructure perspective, and we understand what is the infrastructure. And as an example, this is a really crazy infrastructure in Ukraine. This is an overview from the peering DB, the summary of IXPs and the focus. And when you see everything is you have 19 IXPs in one country. Crazy. So nearly each of the fiber providers, each of the ISPs is running their own ISP to say, okay, I can say from my point of view to make a little bit of money or have better lower latency and have our own interconnect hub, etc. But everything is nearly focused on Kiev, and then we're going to Kharkiv, etc. And then when you see this map, it's like the most of the IXPs are based here in the Kiev area. Then you have the Kharkiv area, Donetsk, Mariupol, Donetsk, Luhansk area, Zaporozhye, and that's crazy. The reason is, I have a map. I found a map. This is no, it's not this one. I found a map, but I kicked it out, I think. I found a map. I will add this and send this presentation over to the colleagues of IAA to say you can see the attack during the first night from the 24th of the 25th of February. And you can see exactly a couple of rockets came down in the Lviv area. A lot of rockets came down and physical attacks. The soldiers was invading for 1-2 weeks on a really hard way Kiev. Also, since 2014, the eastern part, Kharkiv, Donetsk, Luhansk, Mariupol, and Crimea area was like occupied by the Russian armed forces. And also, when the invasion started on a hard way, it was also on the eastern part, everything was occupied. And also Mariupol, it was one picture. I think a lot of people have seen it in the news. One of the 5G cell towers was fallen very, very fast. One of the first attacks in Mariupol. So from my point of view, you can say it was nearly an attack against the internet infrastructure also in Ukraine. And also when you see what happens before and what happens during and what happens now, it's like everything is really, really organized and really, really focused on internet infrastructures. You have an IT army of Ukraine, you have an IT army of Russia. Both are fighting against in a cyber war to shut down websites and doing DDoS attacks and organizing everything. From the one point of view, it's and this is what I mentioned when I'm doing this presentation, or I'm talking also to owners of companies right now, or to governments like German government or Poland government or whatever. We need to prepare our infrastructures with RPKI, ROA, and DDoS mitigation to say our infrastructures are safe. The reason is a lot of infrastructures and the VAR in the future will be another VAR. It's my point of view. I'm not a genius. I'm not a profi, or I'm not a prof of studies of VAR or whatever. But I can see this VAR is completely different. Also, I've got you will when you Google it, you have some one reporter of the New York Times talked to had an interview with couple of owners of ISPs in Ukraine, and I had this in my presentation, but it was for me too hard to show it. It was like soldiers came to managing directors of ISPs with a gun in a hand and holds his gun on a head and was saying, shut down your infrastructure. And this is unbelievable. Yes, we have a high tech community, and we are living in a high technology world. But a soldier is coming to a boss of ISP with a gun in the hand and saying, shut down your infrastructure. It's crazy. It's weird for me as an understanding, as an ex-soldier, to say, you need to have this knowledge and you need to be trained and you need to have, you need to know what is the infrastructure. You know what I mean? This is really crazy at the moment for me. But you can see also what happens. This is from Doug Modry from Kentic is supporting me on a really good way with graphs and analysis. This is a graph or ping graph from IOTA, and you can see between the 1st of February and the 1st of March, nearly end of February, when the Russian armed forces invaded Ukraine, you can see the maximum reachability of a ping is going down, and it's nearly on a level of 80 up to 82, 85% right now. When you see it on an Atlas Pro perspective, you can see also the 24th here between 23rd, 25th. In the middle, you have the 24th, the day when Russian armed forces invaded Ukraine. You see the slow decline of the connected Atlas probes. This is a good benefit when you have the possibility to get this evaluations and analysis to see what happens. So now we have two options why everything is declining, why everything is going offline. What happens? On the one side, we have the physical attacking of infrastructure. So it's possible a lot of fibers was cut or during rocket attacks and all this kind of stuff. But also a big problem is the fuel situation during a war. Means you need to refuel your power generators. And when also a lot of attacks happens, it's not only the fiber infrastructure which can be attacked, it's also a power infrastructure. It's also a critical infrastructure, defined also in most of the countries as a critical infrastructure, to say when internet needs to work, you need to look into two things. You need to have fiber and you need to have power. Without power, no internet connectivity, and with power and without fiber, also no internet connectivity. So every time you need to look into two very important things. And this is what we are trying with Keep Ukraine Connected. We shipped also a couple of power generators. The first sponsor of donator of power generators was D6. Thanks again, Thomas King, CTO of the D6. I think he asked me in the first week or second week of this project, what you need. I don't care about the money. I will help them. You don't need to put our logo on any websites or whatever. Also, for me right now, I can ship to you like 5 or 6 power generators. Please take them, put it on your truckload for the next trip, and done. So, and this power generators was used for a news channel at the first. The priority was to deliver this via our partner to news channel, to make sure each of the citizens and survivors in Ukraine during the first weeks of war can have information regarding the situation in Ukraine. So we have also a huge problem. We have a huge problem, and the problem is the fake news. Russian TV channels was sending like Russian propaganda to Ukrainian parts, like Crimea area, also eastern parts, occupied part of Ukraine. I don't want to say the Ukrainians don't send it out any propaganda, but also motivation for the whole own citizens to say, hey guys, survive, fight, this is our country. I completely understand I'm not a supporter of war. I'm not a supporter of guns. I'm not a supporter of weapons. I'm not a supporter of rockets or whatever. We need to sit down and talk. But in this case, we have a war. We don't have a solution. And a lot of governments try to sit down with Putin to stop this war. But it happens right now also, it's a war. So it never stops right now. And I'm praying every day for all my friends in Ukraine to stop this war. And also here you can see boost layers of the BGP and also active probing traceroute and pings to say, you can see everything is going down since the war started in Ukraine. Ukraine is also very important for fiber connectivity from western part of Europe to the Ukraine, and especially then to Moldavia and other regions. So you have three major gateways. You have one major gateway is like the Warsaw pipeline, then the Prague, the southern Czech to Poland fiber, and then you have also a connection from Germany via Austria to Slovakia to Ukraine. And through these pipelines, it's running a lot of business of a couple of transit providers in Sidra. And also we have a lot of, when I'm going back in time, I was born in East Germany. So I'm a baby of the East. And I have a lot of relationships also when I was a kid with Soviet Union people. Normally I can say when I'm a dude enough right now, so I can say our East German part was occupied by the Soviet Union. So after the Second World War, as the Soviet Union armed forces came and was staying in the eastern part of Germany. So I know exactly how the people are thinking and how the people are living in Syria. And I never had any problems with Soviet Union people. And that's the reason I have a good relationship to all my Eastern Europe customers from Flex Optics and also to all my Eastern Europe friends. I love Eastern Europe. This is a special countries. These are special people, open-minded, and good food, really good food. So yes, and that's the reason why I'm doing it. I have a special relation to Eastern Europe, and that's the reason it is a special project and a special motivation from bottom of my heart to say we need to support. Also, we have this is a subsea cable. It's a telegraphy subsea cable map. You have here. This is a Krim area in the middle of this Black Sea in the upper part. Then you have a tiny subsea cable from which connects the Krim area to Russia, and then you have a pipeline subsea cable from Russia to Russia, and then from Russia to Georgia, and then from Georgia to Bulgaria. So this is also important. They are running business. That's the reason why the Black Sea fight in the southern part of the Krim area was also important. And also, I'm not a friend of public subsea cable maps. I'm not a friend of Starlink communication systems. I'm not a friend of public KMZ files from fiber providers. So everyone knows, and everyone needs to have this awareness. This is a critical infrastructure. You don't see it, but it is there. You have digged fibers, it's a critical infrastructure from my point of view. Don't share the KMZ, don't share public GPS coordinates of a fiber. In case of a war, it's very easy. Normally 85, 75, up to 85% of the rockets they're coming down can be GPS tracked. Means you can put in GPS coordinates and you can exactly point it out on which place they're coming down. So also you can put it in and program a rocket to say you need to explode not when you're crashing on a bottom. You need to explode when you're like 1 meter in the earth, you know. That's crazy. And normally you're digging fibers in 2 meters meters deep. So means it's really easy to destroy fiber connectivities or fibers directly with rockets or also with physical attacks. When you know the GPS coordinates you dig as a soldier, or when you specialize in this infrastructure topics, it's possible to destroy fibers and to restore a subsea cable. It's very expensive. This is what happens during the first day and the first hours in Ukraine. We had the Russian armed forces invaded Ukraine on 4 axes. You have the Belarus Kiev axis, you have the Kharkiv axis, Donbass axis, and the Crimea axis. This was already occupied, the Crimea area, and parts of the eastern part from Kharkiv down to Luhansk and Donetsk was occupied since 2014. Nobody talked about it, but that's reality. The war stayed since 2014 in Ukraine. And that's crazy. And this is the map I mentioned before. So when you see, I need to, when you see this map from the 24th of February, when the Russian armed forces invaded Ukraine, and then you see here, you have Lviv, you have Kiev, you have Kherson, and here is a island Crimea area, Luhansk, Donetsk on the southeastern part, and then you have Kharkiv on the northeastern part, and then you're going to the anomaly connectivity map. You see, you have a lot of anomalies detected in the last 10 hours here in Kiev area, then Odessa, Kherson, Mariupol, but nothing in the Crimea area. We have Kharkiv and nothing in the Donetsk, or nearly nothing in Donetsk and Luhansk area. The reason is Crimea area was already occupied by Russian armed forces. Luhansk, Donetsk was already occupied by the Russian armed forces. And the non-occupied regions of Ukraine had a lot of anomalies that was detected, and couple of infrastructures, or a lot of infrastructure was down. This is then we had the 10th of October, also a black day, but a real black day. A lot of rockets came down in different regions. Lviv is 60 kilometers only to speak in pictures. Lviv, we call it in German Lemberg, is 60 up to 80 kilometers. It depends on the highway, which highway you're driving. 60 up to 80 kilometers to the next border crossing point to Poland, NATO area. And there came also a lot of rockets down on the 10th of October. And you can see also, this is also again, thanks to Doug Modry, this is at 6 o'clock, nearly 6 o'clock UTC, you can see a traffic drop when the rockets came down. It means also 2 options. Every time you need to look into 2 options. Option 1, power infrastructure down or internet infrastructure down. So right now we can say with this analyzers, we can have like ping, BGP analyzers, traffic analyzers, etc. to any ASNs we have in databases and they're based in Ukraine. We can do analyzers, yes, but every time you need to make sure, you need to think about it. We don't see it's a drop regarding power off, or it's a drop regarding fiber off or fiber cut or whatever. So, but you had a huge drop. And this is the amazing thing when you see, this is also Sumi. This was slide before was, no, this direction. The slide, now I'm completely confused, sorry. We started with Lviv, then we're going to Sumi, Zitomir, and you see the drop starts around 6 UTC, and it's nearly going up again 9 hours later. So it means for me, when I look into this analysis and when I have this information out of the Wasser, they are really fast with restoring electricity and also fiber. So also we shipped a lot of welding gear like fiber splicers and OTDR stuff to make sure they have the possibility to restore fiber the fiber connectivity. Means when a fiber is destroyed, they can splice the fiber again, and then the fiber is running. So the Ukrainian ISPs, and this is a crazy and motivation perspective right now. I know a lot of companies there. I'm really proud when I see in which I would call it environment the employees of Elite and other companies and WebPro, Isidor, and Best Telecom are working in a war zone, going with a fiber splicer next to a tank or not exploded rocket and splicing the fiber. This is unbelievable. When you see the pictures, and I will share here also a couple of pictures. Unbelievable what they're doing for a great work. This is also a map of from Institute for the Study of War. I'm happy. You can Google for the Institute for the Study of War. They have a daily update about the war in Ukraine and also a map, what is changing and all this kind of stuff. And when you see science occupying and invading Russia, Ukraine with the Russian armed forces, Lviv is clear. Kiev, we have, I heard some rumors, and there are a couple of attacks, when I'm right. But I'm happy the Kharkiv region is nearly free and claimed again back from the Ukrainian armed forces. Also Mykolaiv and Zaporozhye region. The Kherson region is already again assessed by the Russian. And then you have the old Crimea area, which also was occupied since 2014, and Luhansk and Donetsk region also occupied by the Russian armed forces before February this year, since 2014. It's why Ukraine is so important for the global internet infrastructure. We have around 604,000 square meters of area. We have over 40 million people there living there, and we have a high-speed internet coverage in Ukraine. When I look into the German map of high-speed internet coverage and high-speed internet connectivity, we are talking about an average of 60,000 megabits per second. Yeah, it's nothing in Germany. So, and we have a lot of mobile subscribers. So the mobile connectivity is a very, very famous thing in Ukraine. It's we are talking about 53 millions of mobile subscribers. We have over 3,000 ISPs, own internet service providers, who is doing like FTTH, fiber to the home, etc., and Ukraine is also one of the cheapest. They have a good transit situation, low hop, low latency, and they can offer also good internet connectivity, like at home, fiber to the home, and also mobile connectivity to the citizens, but not so expensive like in Europe. Yeah, and high-speed fiber internet coverage about over 90%, and this is amazing. rich challenges, and thanks to Dimitri from DEPS, from our partner in Ukraine, who was preparing this map, we are working really, really good together. Since the war started, what we did with Global NOG Alliance, we opened our own supply chain. So send it to my house. Right now, we have the possibility of 2 warehouses. One warehouse in the western part of Germany. It's a warehouse from our teammate Daniel Ruben. He is managing director from Rock Solid, and also from Marcin Kuczera with his warehouse in Rüpenik in Poland, in the eastern area, 2 hours away from the Ukrainian from the Ukrainian border. He is also managing director of Lyon. And what are some key problems or the key issues? One thing was, since the war started, all logistic companies stopped the service to Ukraine. So it wasn't possible for the Ukrainians. It wasn't possible for the Ukrainians to order anything at Amazon and ship it to my home in Ukraine. It's not like I was sitting in Germany. I was ordering Amazon stuff and it was shipped immediately next day, shipping to my house. But it wasn't possible in Ukraine. So the biggest thing is also the energy crisis in the front line. Means in all the front lines like Kiev, Luhansk, Donetsk, Mariupol, Kherson region, they had problems with the power and electricity. So when you have power when you have problems with power and electricity, you have also problems with your service for your internet connectivity. And then a big problem was attacks on communication side and nodes, means data centers, ISPs, infrastructures. Russian armed forces was running into offices, was stolen graphic cards and all this kind of stuff. I don't know what you're doing with graphic cards during a war, but yeah, I think it's also not the right time to sell all the graphic cards via eBay at the moment. So, and this was also one big challenge, the damage of the equipment. It wasn't possible to use the damaged equipment, and that's the reason you need to replace. But how to replace damaged equipment when you can't order anything and when nobody is delivering stuff to Ukraine? That's a big problem. You have no supply chain. And then the other big problem was a really, really, really big DDoS and internet websites attack. So I mentioned before, I'm happy to share those pictures on the one side. On the other side, it's a really hard inside view of how all this really, 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 and I'm proud to know a couple of these people. I'm really proud. I'm really thankful they are doing this work. So we shipped, you can see this in the green boxes. We shipped a couple of Inno splicers and also Fujikura splicers to Ukraine. And they're using the splicers to restore the fiber connectivity. And when you see this hole here on the picture on the left side, it is a rocket hole, means a rocket came down there. So you can see on a right down picture, sorry, you can see a tank in the background. It's unbelievable. Then this is also when I'm right, the guy here is sleeping in a typical Ukrainian data center from an ISP to make sure he can be awake when the power generator is running out of fuel gas, to say he can refill it immediately before the power generator is going off and the infrastructure is going off. So this is an employee of Elite. And then you see here also a couple of pictures and from Best Telecom employees. really? Someone wants to do this job, but they're doing this job. You know what I mean? You don't know there is a mine or there is coming a rocket again. And you see this guy here. Sorry. This guy, they are pulling a new fiber over a complete damaged bridge. They are splicing fibers in front of a complete destroyed tank. And you don't know, is something exploding the next second or next minute or whatever, but they're doing a job. And this is crazy. They're doing not the job for the companies, they're doing the job for all citizens of Ukraine to say you need to have access. We need to make sure you can have access. We need to make sure you can get IPTV news and all this kind of stuff. They make sure the electronic payment system is working in Ukraine, you know, and this is amazing. And when you know a couple of these guys from Elite or Best, and also the boss's CEO and also Webpro doing a really amazing job. Unbelievable. I'm proud of all these workers, all these people. They are going into the war zone. Also, I'm very, really proud of our volunteer drivers, Marcin and also Daniel. They're doing the trips to Lviv and to Kiev to handle all our donated stuff over to our partner Debs, and then Debs is cleaning each of the devices from stickers and repacking this in boxes and delivering this directly to the war zone. Amazing. This is amazing. So what was the idea? I mentioned this before. We wanted to support. Yeah. Right now, what we have right now. So we started this project to say we need to support what we can do. Hey, we can use the social media, then we will see what happens. And it was a big bang. It was not only the big bang to say, oh yeah, a couple of random Europe guys are supporting Ukraine. No, it's a big bang right now. Right now we have this situation, and this is a picture I mentioned also before. This is a couple of parts. When I was moving boxes from my house to a neighbor's carport and garage. I did this 10 times or 15 times from my ground to my neighbor to say, I need more space at home. So it's also good you have all these donations and all this motivation and all the money and all this kind of stuff. But then you're staying there, what you have? You don't have an overview. Everything is coming in boxes. You need to open the boxes to make sure when you're crossing the border, you're not going into a prison. The reason is you have drugs inside or whatever. So we need to open each of the boxes to say and check it's only equipment inside or any gear you can't export to Ukraine and all this kind of stuff. And then we my colleague Sander was silent for 2 days and 2 nights, and that was like a little bit confusing. So normally he is really in, and he came back with an amazing idea. Hey guys, we have an aid coordinator right now. I said, what do you mean? Yeah, we have a possibility right now. The donator can put in all possible donated equipment into one system, and the requester can see it in time. And the requester can claim it. The requester can see what is offered by donators and by donors. And that's crazy. And also, this is a version 2. And we are working right now on a version 3 with Ihor and Sander together. You can see what is offered and the availability. When one is claiming like the batteries here as an example, or the keyboard, the 22 keyboards, when one guy is claiming 10 keyboards and he is pressing save, and then it's not only 22, he claimed 10, then you have 12 left, and the requesters can see it in time. And we know exactly to which company is going this equipment. So this was one thing for me when we started with this tool and to ship the stuff to Ukraine. I want to make sure the donor can get in touch with the requester in the past when the war is done. It's a community-based project. The whole You Keep Ukraine Connected project, it's a community project. It's from the community for the community. And I want to make sure I don't have this discussion, oh, you had some money, you are wasting money. No, we are not wasting money. We are buying stuff from all donated money. We are buying immediately equipment for Ukraine, and also donated equipment is going to a German warehouse or to the Polish warehouse. And this is amazing. This is like a benefit, this aid coordinator. Everyone can use it. It's open source. It's available at GitHub. Thanks, Ihor and Sander again. When you have any kind, or when you have an idea you want to support, as an example, a school, you can use and install this aid coordinator from Global NOG Alliance, and you can put in what you need as a requester, and then you're going to companies and asking, hey, it's possible you can donate anything, and then you can put in also the possible donated equipment, and then you have a coordinator for everything to handle. This is a workflow chart from our perspective, from Keep Ukraine Connected perspective. You can be a donor or requester, then you can adding your request or equipment, then it's going to the database, and we have a two-step matching. First step, we have automatic matching, means we are pressing a button, and all these requests and donations will be matched automatically. And then we have manual matching with the database also from the Ukraine. Our partner DEPs in Ukraine have our own contact center since we started Keep Ukraine Connected. So for Ukrainians, it's possible to go to our aid coordinator or to contact DEPs to say, hey, I need equipment, etc. So, and then everything is automated. So we're, all right, you want to say anything?
Sorry. I did. Sorry, Renee. We're just past the hour here. So I think if you could just wrap up so that we could get a few questions. We have got at least one good one that's come in. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yep. So very fast. We're working with a couple of partners. We are working with the Ministry of Digital Transformation. DEPS, this is our local partner for the local supply chain and local distribution, and the Ukrainian Internet Association. What we ship right now up to September 2020, it's a little bit more right now. We have nearly December. We had one delivery between. It's worth of $1 million we shipped already, and we supported already 60 companies slash ISPs. Who is behind the task force? We started with 5 people. Corinne, we have right now also internal task force. Corinne, Natalie from IPNCC, Sander, it's also a board member of Global NOG Alliance. Myself, Jan Schorsch is also board member of the Global NOG Alliance. Eric Bays is our speaker for Netherlands. Daniel Huben and Marcin Kuchera are the best guys ever. They're driving into the war zone, into Ukraine. Isapal and Michael are doing more the comms and orga stuff. On a Ukrainian side, it's Gennady and Dimitri and Natalia from both guys from DEPS, and Natalia is from the Internet Association Ukraine. And what is my personal motivation for the future? Only short wrap up. My motivation for the future is to have a centralized database. When companies kicking out equipment, please put it for 2 or 3 months into our database, and everyone who has a social project or whatever can claim it, and we try to ship it directly to the needed place. Thanks to Flex Optics and Six Connect gave Sander, Jan, and me a lot of time to work on this project, and now I will have. I'm open.
It's okay, Renee. We're with you. I can just hear your emotion throughout this project. It's just extraordinary to me to think of. Well, number one, the first question, having crossed so many borders myself, thinking of this no man's land. I mean, no man's land is that place between getting off the aircraft and going through to the other side of the airport. It's not 50 meters of unhappy people wandering one side to the other. It's not a place, it doesn't sound like a very happy place. Some of the lessons I've learned out of this is that you rope in your neighbours for things like this. Yep, neighbours could be used for storage. And it is incredible what people will donate. And from Tanya, hi Tanya, it's lovely to see you out there. Great presentation, even for non-tech folk like me. Oh, she's pretty reasonable. I can vouch for Tanya. She says, an Australian mining magnate has committed the first $500 million US to a seed fund designed to transform Ukraine's infrastructure into a digital green economy of the future. The fund is expected to raise US $100 billion to assist with Ukraine's recovery. What should Ukraine's priorities be to reform their communications infrastructure? Oh,
No, I like this question. So one of my future projects will be also to talk about the possible redundancy infrastructure in Ukraine.
So can you repeat that? The multi-redundancy infrastructure.
So to have more access from different countries. There are friends of Ukraine and not like aggressors from Ukraine. Also the fiber and BGP traffic was shifting during the war. So Tanya, I think the most important thing it's right now it's electricity and power situation. I think this is the most important thing. The biggest issue I tried yesterday to have a call with our friends from DEPS. It wasn't possible. They was running out of fuel. So you have the major problems are right now. It's a power situation in Ukraine and the fuel situation in Ukraine. So the biggest issue for Ukrainians are the occupied region of the Haber, of Crimea, Isibar. I think they need to improve this power generator, like electricity infrastructure. That's a major point for all citizens of Ukraine to have like working mobile connectivity. And also then the next thing is improving the internet infrastructure. It's also, they're doing a crazy job also as a Ministry of Digital Transformation. Mikhail Fedorov is doing an amazing job with digitalization. Everything of science the bar started, and they're getting a lot of money. And I think the most important thing for the communication infrastructure, priority number one is electricity power situation right now. Second one is the fiber situation, and going away with this with the Starlink shit. Sorry, but I'm completely against of Starlink and satellite communication systems in a war zone. It's not. It's good for a backup, yeah, for your home as a backup, but it's also possible to sniff the signals and
so the security
GPS coordinates. So
yeah. It does give away locations for people. Yeah. So I do know of another project where they've been shipping power supplies and like solar cells with power supplies suitable for Starlink gear into Ukraine, and they've been going like hotcakes, and a lot of has been diverted.
I think with the power supplies, so with the power supplies, we are talking about the same.
Yeah, I think you know who I mean. Yeah, but your maps are a fascinating, an awful illustration of how this is an attack on the internet infrastructure. In that all of those names of places where you've tracked outages are the names of the places that we've been seeing on the news as having the bombs have gone off, the people are running, the hurt is occurring now, and they were the maps of the locations showing the locations of their internet exchanges, the points where the fibers converged. And you also saying that there are bombs going off that are deliberately targeting fiber optic infrastructure by making them go off a metre or a metre and a half underground, literally at those locations. So yeah, again, that's another lesson for us all, not to accidentally release.
And that's a really big issue. Sorry, that's a really big issue. Everything is available. Everything is available in the internet. You can see all fibers. That's a big problem.
Yeah. Well, we do tend to share these sorts of things, don't we? So I think we've definitely almost hit the 10 past mark. I wonder if there's any further questions that people sitting in have got for René. Are there any other questions that we've got? It really has been a fascinating exercise, and I really applaud you for doing it. And I don't know that I'm prepared to sort of get up in the middle of the night and drive across a war zone and unpacked network gear. I mean, we all joke about how our networks are on fire when they go down or something goes wrong, but they're not literally on fire generally. They're not literally being bombed.
Yeah.
So are there any other thoughts or comments that people would like to put through? I encourage people to do so. We've just got a thank you from Julia. I just want to thank you for the presentation and what you've done. Yeah, I think we all want to thank you and thank the rest of the team. It's please say hi to Michael for me because I haven't seen him for a while. It's a colleague from the internet governance world where we've debated policy in interesting places.
Jan. With Jan or with Sander?
Michael, again, you're in the...
Yeah, Michael, yeah.
Yeah. So he's always been a very passionate person in the internet landscape over the last, it's been a few years now I've known him.
Yep.
So yeah, hopefully you'll be getting more equipment soon and more of it going into Ukraine and or at least hopefully the darn thing's over soon.
That's the most annoying thing. So I was thinking about a quick war to say in, out, and then you see what happens, you know. So, yeah. But I stopped counting the days, but I'm praying every day to say the war needs to be over. Not only for me, it's and for my team. It's nearly right now since beginning of this project a full-time job. I'm happy to have an employer, and also Jan and Sander have an employer, and every one of us have an employer. They're saying, okay, do the good stuff, and then it's fine.
Thank your employer for. We all need a sensitive employer who's prepared to support some of these extra pieces. We have another one come through. Just incredible work, all. Thanks for sharing. I'm definitely not technical community. Can you put links in the Facebook later, Narelle, so I can share with this? Yes, we will. We will put some extra links in and so forth. I was tempted to step in once or twice there just to explain a few internet acronyms, but I think the meaning was pretty clear. Things like BGP being the routing protocol, which explains how the network, which tells all the networks how to reach each other. And yeah, I think they were fine. So are there any other, we will put some more links in that we can, folks. Can the link to the supply and demand donation database GitHub be linked as well? Well, we'll see what we can to that anonymous attendee. We'll see what we can there. What information go out, we will certainly put out. Hopefully it's all going out in a robust and solid way. I mean, this is in some ways probably the first war that we've seen where a lot of crowdsourcing of materials and supplies is actually taking place. I mean, this is a...
Yep. This war is different. Also, when you have a look, you can Google it. It's an army of drones. It's one of the projects of the Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine from Mikhail Fedorov. They got a lot of drone donations. They got a lot of money to buy drones, etc. So what you can do with drones is it's also since this war a little bit different. I don't want to comment anything
please don't comment too much.
The army of drones. One part is saying it's a good thing. I want to say it's a good thing to use it for observation and all kind of stuff. But what they're doing from time to time, it's not so. I don't like it. So yeah.
Exactly. I mean, what we want is to build good networks and strengthen our cultures and strengthen our communities and strengthen our humanity. So I suppose if we're not getting any more questions after those ones, we can probably just say thank you once again, René, for your amazing work, and to your colleagues and the rest of the Global NOG Alliance, and to your colleagues and your employer in Europe and the others. We really do appreciate that you're keeping Ukraine connected. People need to be able to reach each other. So once
again, that's at least what we can do. Yeah, thanks for your time.
I think we'll call it
organizing this.
So bye everybody. If we could perhaps hit the kill switch.